Let's get into it with Susie O'Brien from the Herald Sun in Melbourne and also Radio 2CC breakfast host in Canberra, Stephen Senatiempo. Thanks for both joining us. Susie, I better go to you first. I hope you're not peddling under the desk there to keep yourself on air with this electricity crisis in Melbourne and Victoria. It sounds pretty terrible.
Oh, at the moment we've got power blackouts due to the weather, and apparently the traffic lights are out across Melbourne. I've no idea how I'm going to get home. This is looking like a pretty comfy desk. I might be staying here.
Yeah, it's a worry, Stephen. This underpins the fragility of our electricity system. I've already had that Robert Holmes of Court guy texting me saying, well, this is, what is it? This is storm damage. Somehow gloating, I think, because a coal-fired power station went out. But it was tripped over by other power failures or whatever. And obviously there's not enough wind and solar. It just shows how the whole system's a shambles. We're always going to get bushfires. We're always going to get bad weather. And we know you'll get the odd blackout. But to have 500,000 customers knocked out now and prices going up to $16,000 a pop, this is absurd.
Well, it is, and old Blackout Bowen keeps telling us the wind doesn't send a bill and the sun doesn't send an invoice, but apparently the rain does. So, it's just extraordinary that we keep going down this rabbit hole. We need reliable, cheap baseload power. There's only one way to get that these days, and that is to go down the nuclear avenue, and we just keep avoiding that like the plague. It's almost like we are deliberately setting ourselves up for failure, and now it's starting to show.
Yeah, it sure is. Let's stay in Victoria, Susie, because I want to get your thoughts on this latest sort of jobs for the boys scandal. There's a very senior public servant by the name of Jeroen Weimar. We all got to know him during the pandemic because, along with your chief health officer, he was front and centre, the COVID commander. We all saw him doing that job. Obviously a favourite of Labor. They gave him a cushy job with the Commonwealth Games bid, which he didn't manage to land. That's disappeared. Now he's got another job in housing worth a lazy $533,000 a year. This bloke must be brilliant. No one else in Victoria can do anything. They've always got to get him to run the show.
Well, it's just fascinating. I mean, he's quite likeable and he was certainly very unflappable during the COVID crisis. But, is he the man to roll out 800,000 new homes over the next decade in Victoria? I mean, who would know? He's going to be paid more than the Premier, almost twice as much more than the Premier, and we have no idea how he was appointed, who else was up for the role. And this appointment has actually been referred to the Ombudsman, Deborah Glass, and I think that's an excellent idea. And she has raised some real concerns about the politicisation of the public service.
Well, Premier Jacinta Allan doesn't seem to be too perturbed. Here's what she had to say.
The Secretary then appointed Jeroen Weimar for the role based on his vast experience and commitment to the Victorian community to tackle head-on really complex and challenging areas.
Yeah, unbelievable. It's unbelievable what goes on with these people. I noticed in the Daily Telegraph, I think it was today, Stephen, related to this, I think there were 120 or more public servants in New South Wales alone who are paid more than the Premier. You could do a similar thing in Canberra. I think that's a pretty good guide, right? I think Premiers and Prime Ministers get a pretty good salary. I can't see why any public servant should ever get paid more than the person running the state or the country.
No, particularly when we're not getting people of the quality and calibre that we need to run these departments. I mean, fair income, I'm a boy. I'm putting my hand up for one of these jobs, but apparently, I don't know, maybe I don't have the experience needed. I haven't, failed to roll out a Commonwealth Games or stuffed up a COVID recovery. But look, it's just extraordinary the amount of money we are wasting on people that are not delivering and not performing, and it's just happening at every level. Now, there are some exceptions to that, and I'd point out those running police forces and fire brigades and ambulance services around the country. They're probably the standouts in most cases, but I can't point to anyone else that deserves the money.
Well, yeah, the ones who run them well. We've had some pretty dopey police commissioners and fire commissioners in the past as well. Yeah. But but I agree with you. There are ones who do it well. We need them, and they're not strictly speaking public servants, police commissioners, are they? But there's got to be more accountability, and there's got to be more wage constraint on the public sector. It's so obvious.